Yo, 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 what it do? What it be? Oh, it's your boy, A&T, repping the game gang. You know we don't play none of that, all of that. Bringing y'all some Madden gameplay, and I figured might as well bring back the Madden. It's not the best sports game out. Matter of fact, I think it's trash, but, I've been having fun with it. It looks good, despite there not being, no halftime show, none of the real stuff that would be in an NFL game. But it's cool. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we're here to talk about the greatest quarterbacks of the 2000s decade, from 2000 to 2010. And, as the decade of the 90s came to a close and guys like Montana and Elway were retiring, and guys like Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon, and Steve Young were getting into the twilight of their careers, a young group of guys would emerge and take the NFL to heights we ain't never seen before. Some would come from football bloodlines and would be high draft picks, as QBs were becoming the most important position in any sport. Others would rise up from obscurity and carve their names in the history books next to the gods of the gridiron, coming from sixth rounders. And y'all know who I'm talking about. And some of these names I'm going to mention have been called the greatest. But but before I get into those names, let me start with someone who deserves an honorable mention on this list. And this man literally came from bagging groceries to orchestrating what some call the greatest show on turf. And I'm talking about none other than Kurt Warner. He deserves an honorable mention for opening the decade with a Super Bowl and an MVP, and even taking the Cardinals to a Super Bowl in 07-08 season. And even though I think the greatest show on turf underachieved and allowed the Patriots to become the dynasty that they became, the Patriots also became the dynasty the Rams arguably should have been, like I said. But the Rams as a team underachieved, but Kurt Warner overachieved based on, who he was, where he came from, and stuff like that, and what he was supposed to be. And, what he became was a Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl champion. So he deserves definitely a mention on this list. He's not on the list, but, he's just outside that top five. But number 5 on this list was also thought to be washed up. After he had neck surgery, he was traded by the Chargers to the New Orleans Saints. And Drew Brees found a new home and revived his career out there. Won a Super Bowl with them at the end of the decade, which... he was also the MVP of that Super Bowl. And even though he has better stats than a couple guys on this list, St. Drew's career was almost cut short. Like I said, after that neck injury, you never really know. Something like Peyton Manning, but if Peyton Manning would have got it when he was like in his 20s, but he reinvented himself under Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints, won a ring, won a Super Bowl MVP. I don't think he ever won a regular season MVP, but the man threw for 5,000 yards for 4 seasons. Most quarterbacks only do that once. Like, think about that. He bringing NOLA a championship shortly after Katrina made St. Drew a legend. And even after the Super Bowl, they were playoff contenders damn near every year, thanks to him. And like I said, his 5,000 yards passing, 5,000 yard passing seasons. No other QB has done it more than twice. Let me just reiterate that. But he never could repeat as a champion. And unfortunately for him, everybody else on this list got at least 2 rings. But let me say this. Drew makes every list after this, meaning he's on my top 5 QBs of the 2010s and the greatest quarterbacks of all times list as well, which, I'll drop those a little later. But with that being said, let's move on to number 4, a.k.a. the Tom Brady Slayer, the Patriots' worst nightmare, a.k.a. the one in 18-1. Number 4, of course, is Eli Manning. Yes, Eli Manning is number 4 for winning that historic Super Bowl against the team that would have went undefeated. Think about that. If it wasn't for Eli Manning, Tom Brady would have went 19-0 and had that on his list of, his mountain of accomplishments, So The helmet catch, still one of, if not the greatest play in football history. And I'm not even going to count when he did it again, beat him again 4 years later. We're not even going to count that. Sure, Drew Brees has better stats and a better career overall. But Eli and those wild card Giants pulling off the miracle upset and Eli pulling off that final drive. I watched it. It was special to watch. I was young. I didn't really understand the magnitude. But now looking back, as we look back at shit, that was crazy, son. Plus, that Drew didn't really seal the game for the Saints. Like Eli did. Sure, he got them the lead in the end. But Tracy Porter was the one who had the biggest play that decided the game when he picked off Eli's brother, who I'll mention later on the list, don't trip, but that Saints defense holding Peyton Manning to under 20 points in the Super Bowl speaks for itself. But I digress. Eli Manning got the 4th spot to me, and I'm standing on that. You're going to have to really convince me, that Drew's Super Bowl win and MVP was more special than Eli's, and this is really what decided this factor, But number 3 on this list, let's get to that. He actually has 2 rings in this decade, unlike Eli. Eli got 2 rings, but it wasn't in this decade. Eli won one in 2011, 2012, some shit like that. But Ben Roethlisberger. I had to put Ben Roethlisberger at that number 3 spot. He became the youngest quarterback in history to win a Super Bowl when the Steelers beat the Seahawks. A lot of questionable calls in that Super Bowl, but look, they got the job done. Hines Ward made the play of the game, and like I said, he was the youngest quarterback. I didn't really expect him to I don't think anybody really expected him to do Terry Bradshaw or Joe Montana numbers in that game, but then he came back and did it again, and I mean, he would have had 3 at the end of the decade, but he lost to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. But, I mean, he made, again, maybe the second greatest throw besides the helmet catch. Santonio Holmes' catch is immaculate. Word to Franco Harris, son. Like, that shit was crazy to watch. I watched that, again, live. I was at my pop's house. And that shit was crazy to watch. But I don't know. I don't know if I put that above the helmet. It's up there. It's definitely up there. But again, the two bowls and the Santonio Holmes catch. And I mean, again, going to the 3rd one, and then, he lost to Aaron, who's not on this list, but he'll be in the 2010s list for sure. He didn't really pop off to 2010s. But let me point out that Big Ben never won a Super Bowl or a regular season MVP, though. He won 2 Super Bowls, but never won a Super Bowl MVP, let alone a regular season MVP. But with Mike Tomlin, Roethlisberger never had a losing season and always kept his team at least in wild card contention. So I edged him out over Eli because, Eli didn't win his 2nd ring again until 2012. So now that the number 1 and number 2 spots, we're coming down to the nitty gritty. And this is really tough because this is really a pick 'em. There's strong arguments for both Manning and Tom Brady, and not Eli Manning. I'm talking about Peyton. But I got to give the number 2 spot to Peyton. Peyton had great numbers year in, year out after, his atrocious rookie season, but he went 1-1 in the Super Bowl this decade. Thanks again, Tracy Porter. Mentioned that name earlier, and sure, he beat the Bears and Rex Grossman. That Bears defense is really what got them there. They say defense wins championships. Well, not that Bears defense, let me tell you. But, the Colts also had some... I never really looked at the Colts defense like that. But, they really had some studs. Over the years, too. Bob Sanders, Dwight Freeney. They had a couple more on the Robert Mathis. But, again, couldn't get Peyton 2-0. And Tracy Porter made sure he got that number 2 spot because, again, that Bears defense was great. One of the greatest. But, again, Peyton only got 1 ring. Sure, the Patriots defense was consistently top 5 throughout Tom's career. And, their defense really had a huge part in winning those early Super Bowls, but that's not Tom's fault. I mean, TB12 strikes again and takes the crown from Peyton with his 3 Super Bowl wins. He got the 3 Super Bowl MVPs in those Super Bowls. Nobody from the defense, not the kicker who made, Janikowski or whatever. No. That was all TB12. Not all of it. See, and they kind of, that's one thing I dislike about Tom Brady fans. They do the same thing that LeBron fans kind of do when they win. It's all Tom Brady. Look at how great Tom Brady is. They never really mention the team. But then when they lose, look at this trash team around it. Maybe if they spent more around, you can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. But this isn't about LeBron and his GOAT status. This is about Tom Brady and Peyton in their clash. And I mean, look, Tom didn't even throw for 200 yards in his first Super Bowl. And I mean, that really, like I said, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't the MVP in his first Super Bowl or his next one, really. Tom won the MVP in all 3 of them. 3 rings in the 2000s decade. And that's in a decade when Peyton went to 2, Ben went to 3, and Tom still found a way to go, even as a youngin'. So I have a whole video on my channel. I might have to take that down or even make a new one talking about why I was wrong about Tom Brady not being the GOAT. Now, LeBron James still ain't my NBA GOAT of all time. No. Not mine. But Tom for sure, I mean, there's nothing he could do. I mean, he almost went undefeated. Won a Super Bowl with 2 teams like Peyton did. Won more Super Bowls. Won more MVPs. The only motherfucker that really can touch him is Joe, who he was never picked off in a Super Bowl. I mean, he kind of got that Jordan complex, like, oh, I didn't need an immaculate comeback because, motherfucker, I was never down. Well, you had Jerry Rice your whole career, or that's another big debate. Jerry Rice, is he great because he had Pro Bowl quarterbacks his whole life? Would Randy Moss have those numbers with, those all-pro quarterbacks? Again, we're going to talk about that. My next one might be greatest running backs or receivers. So we'll get into that. I might even switch up to NBA. Stay tuned, after this. This is only the 2000s. I still got 2010s and the all-time list to go. So, like I said, stay tuned. But, again, yeah, I mean, Tom Brady just is the GOAT. That's my top 5 quarterbacks of the 2000s. Number 5 was Drew Brees. Number 4, Eli. Number 3, Big Ben. Number 2, Peyton. Number 1, Tom Brady. And I mean, that's my top 5 QBs. There was a lot of talent in this decade, and so I didn't want to do a lot of honorable mentions because that would be a whole nother video. But I hope y'all enjoyed my list. Again, it is my list. If y'all got any arguments, agreements, disagreements, let me know in the comments. Leave a like if you like the video, if you want to see more of these lists. I'm a sports fan, so I love doing these. I'm gonna do them anyway, regardless. So definitely gonna be one of the new series I got going on this channel. So go ahead and leave a like. You can dislike it if you want, though. Leave a comment, like I said, on maybe your top 5 or how is your top 5 different from mine? Is it in a different order? Something like that? I don't know. But like I said, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you can stay tuned on all the hot content I got dropping soon. And it's been your boy, ANT, repping the GAME, GANG. That's the game gang. We don't play. None of that. All of that. We got a few more minutes left in the video, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of commentate over it. This is my Tennessee season. I know you see me playing with Tennessee, trying to win a SB. Traded away Tannehill for Justin Fields. Kept Derrick Henry, of course. I mean, he not on the decline really yet. And then I traded away Bob Woods and a couple receivers, some draft picks, and got a younger receiver core, of course, for Justin Fields. We got Michael Pittman and Jerry Jeudy. On the outsides, got Julio Jones playing slot most of the time. Signed AP and Le'Veon Bell. Derrick Henry never really had a backup running back, but I gave him 2 good ones, and Le'Veon Bell can actually catch the ball. So that's actually, and then AP with that touchdown, that put him over Marcus Allen. So he's top 3 in running back rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, there's a method to the madness. I even spent some cap money trying to fill some holes in the line so Taylor Lewan got some help. Yeah, I didn't trade away Taylor Lewan like they didn't realize. He had a big decline this year, but at the same time, he was the anchor of that line for years with almost no help. So, big boys break down quick. That's what happens. So I figured I'm going to try and get him the ring. Vrabel's their coach. He an old Patriot. So I signed a Hightower and was it Jamie Collins Sr.? Try and get some vets on the defense. Signed Joe Hayden in the secondary. Still got Kevin Byard. Caleb Farley and Christian Fulton. They've been going off this season. They've been playing shutdown defense. We 11 or I think this is our 10th win of the season. 10-1. The only team that beat us was the Broncos, and it was some Madden bullshit. But it's cool. You can't go 18-0. Might as well get the dub out of the way. And I don't know how you defend that. Tyler Boyd it's Joe Burrow, though. That's why they got 30 points. I said we've been playing lockdown, but they got 30 points. It's Joe Burrow. He got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst. Joe Mixon didn't really run the ball a lot this game, but that's because they was really down for most of it. Well, Joey Burrow tried to bring him back. I'm trying to slam the door in their face. See, they got a holding penalty earlier. They're not playing disciplined football down the stretch. That's going to come back to bite them later. Aha. See my foreshadow game. Crazy. Holding. Bring them back 10. And that's going to open up the door. It's like, oh, yeah, now we can pin our ears back a little bit. They have to go deep. Just play the zone. Split that line out a little bit. And boom. Bro was about to hit the footwork on gang. A little river dance. And right here, this is it. Boom. Fumble recovery to end the game. Call a few run plays. Bring down the clock. Hit the QB kneel for the setup of the game-winning field goal and the dub. Gotta rub it in a little bit. The QB don't take no breaks when it whoops your ass. Or not the QB, the AI, if you will. The computer don't take no breaks whooping your ass when you down by like 30 points or whatever. They still gonna try and score. So I'm gonna try and score as much as possible. I'm gonna try and run pad these stats. Fuck out of here. You don't like it? Stop it. No, I'm just playing. But hope y'all enjoyed the list. Like I said, it's been your boy ANT. Y'all be safe. Don't get smoked. And I'm out. Peace. Y'all gonna see more of this Tennessee team probably. And some Street Fighter gameplay here in the near future. But like I said, I still got more hot content dropping soon. Stay tuned, y'all. I'm out. Peace.
And they go over every crazy possibility that can happen in this situation. They're able to cover successfully and end the game.
So for the Titans, they get win number 10 on the year as they move to 10-1. And they will hit the road next week for a date with the Philadelphia Eagles. Meanwhile, for the